Whoa, 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 what the fuck? Shit, I got hit by torpedoes. I didn't catch those. I did detect them, and you guys probably did too, but I didn't see it because I was too busy talking over the battleship. Admiral's log, January 1st, 1930. War has once again come to Europe. It's not even that long after we concluded the First World War, and it looks like we already found ourselves in a second. Fortunately, the French Navy is ready. We have a good mix of battleships, battlecruisers, heavy cruisers, light cruisers, and destroyers. Interestingly, a couple of different naval architects have been given the opportunity to test their designs during this war, which means that we're going to see all sorts of different types of designs, and we're going to be testing those to see if they will work. When it comes to these new ships, I am of two minds. On the one hand, I am all for naval innovation. I believe in the progress of technology, and with that, defeating your enemy. On the other hand, if it proves that some of these designs are not up to snuff, and if they do not provide enough protection for the ship and her crew, then it's the lives of my men who are on the line. They are going to be the ones that pay the ultimate price. So we're going to have to try and adjust our tactics for every ship. Every ship will behave differently, have a different armament, and thus needs to be employed different. Let's get to the business of war. Hey guys, Stealth here, welcome back to more Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts campaign. We're on a new version of the 1.05 beta. Now, if you don't know how to actually get the 1.05 beta, link down below in the description explaining how you can play this. The names of the ships have been determined by my patrons. I have used their names as ships and ship classes. Now, Patreon is a very important element of my income as a full-time content creator, because YouTube itself can be a bit of a finicky beast. But my patrons have been there, some for months, some for years, supporting me in what I have been doing, and I'm very grateful. So having their ships or their names as ships for the game, I thought would be only fitting. When it comes to the ship design, we have a couple of different designs. I have 4 different battleship designs. Let's have a look at these. This is named after the highest tier of my Patreon program at General. This is the Sonntag, 45,000 tons, and in good French fashion, armed with forward-facing 16-inch guns. This is a sort of Richelieu, more or less, but with a twist. The ship, with her forward-facing guns, is very potent in a direct role, in the sense that if I'm going bow in, she is very potent. If she at some point gets flanked, then she's still going to have the possibility of using her 8-inch guns, as well as her side-mounted, what did I put there, 6-inch guns. She has 24 4-inch guns and another 8 3-inch guns, so against destroyers she is pretty well protected. Maneuverability is not stellar, nor does it need to be, ideally, because other ships will make sure that no other ships get to the flank of this battleship. Protection for the bow is important. Main belt is 15.2, armor belt on the fore belt is 11 inches. That, hopefully, will keep this thing intact. Now, of course, it's not just the fore belt that needs to be good, it's also the turrets. So the turrets have a facing armor of 17 inches and 6.9 inches of top armor. The superstructure is heavily protected by 4 inches of armor. That's one class. The next one is the Stone. The Stone is armed with a slightly smaller caliber of armament in the form of 9 15-inch guns. She is a bit more suited to dealing with cruisers than battleships, although 15-inch guns can still punch quite a few holes in battleships as well. She's 5,000 tons heavier, and these 5,000 tons have allowed her to get, I believe, more range than the Sonntag? Yeah, the Sonntag can do 12,000 kilometers, this one can do 17. So it's more of a longer range power projector. You might argue that you don't need the range. Some do, some don't. I'm still not exactly sure what it is, because according to what this used to be, you get different type of missions. The minimum operational range limits the ship to coastal defense and standard naval duties, while higher range give the capability to participate in distant naval raids, surprise strikes, and special missions. making it much more useful as a and multi-purpose warship. So I decided to up the slider, and well, we're just going to see if this works. Secondary armament, double barrel 5-inchers to deal with any destroyers, potentially cruisers, but of course, if you got cruisers, then the main guns are going to have to do quite a bit of work. Heavily protected barbettes, torpedo blister not as much. This is with the thing in mind that the ship has a pretty no, sorry, it's a different class that I have in mind. The ship does not have a very good turning circle. I have a turning circle of 1085. The ship is not maneuverable. It is, however, well protected. 12.5 inches of main belt and 8 and 8 and 8 on forebelt, aft deck, and main deck. So this thing, from longer range, should be able to at least sustain some hits from plunging fire. Next, we got, there's 2 Gosrith classes. I had to copy one over because I forgot one of the sliders, which was the standard ratio for shells. Anyway, the Gosrith class is a further development of the Sonntag class, in the sense that it has the 16-inch guns. It just has more of them, because it has an A, B, and an X turret. Secondary armament is 1 triple 8-inch and a whole bunch of 3-inchers. The ship, again, 29.6 knots, far more displacement than the Sonntag, and because she is more likely to go broadside to the enemy, she has more armor belt. She has 15.5 inches of main belt, and combine that with a all-or-nothing armor scheme citadel, and she should be capable of at least tanking some hits. Her turrets are very well protected at 18 inches, and she fires very potent capped ballistic HE shells as well as AP shells, so I can deal with cruisers very quickly, and I can also deal with heavily armored targets should the HE not be sufficient. Finally, we have the last battleship class, which is an older Dreadnought type design. These are far cheaper. This battleship cost me 110 million, whereas if you look at the Gosrith class, we're looking at 200 million. I might be able to build a few more of these, and this is more of a brawler. Because it's an older ship design, it is not as fast. It has 24 knots, but it does displace 54,000 tons. Her guns are a mere 13 inches, and her secondary armament consists of 12 4-inch guns as well as 32 4-inch guns. Sorry, 12 6ers and 32 4s. And these 4-inch guns are neatly housed inside the tower in a format of 8 forward-facing and 8 aft-facing per side. This should allow the ship quite a lot of firepower to deal with the destroyers. Now, because it is a brawler, it has an unbalanced rudder, an auxiliary engine tier 3, and a shaft 3, as well as, and I forgot to upgrade this, steering. But she still has a turning circle of only 311 meters. This thing is mostly designed to take out some smaller ships. It's designed to take out battle cruisers, and everything lower than that. Because she can get in there, she can use her guns to take out the smaller threats relatively faster than the bigger ships can, because they fire faster. Her armor is not as good as that of the rest of the fleet. 7 inches of forebelt, aft belt, and 13 inches of main belt. But then again, the threat level that the ship is supposed to be facing is smaller as well. 13-inch turrets are protected by 18-inch armor. I am very, very much in favor of keeping my turrets on my ship, and I really do not want them to get knocked out. Alright, that is the battleships. On to the battle cruisers. Again, we have a couple of different designs. These are based on the colonel and lieutenant colonels on my patrons. So I got Accord Driver over here. It's an interesting design, even if I say so myself, which is armed with a couple of 15-inch guns, but only 6 of them. This ship is going to make for a pretty interesting either convoy raider or convoy protector, because at 34 knots and a lot of range, it can get anywhere pretty quick, and on top of that, it can hammer down on enemy heavy cruisers as they are coming at my ships. For example, my transports. She has 10 5-inch guns for secondaries and 32 2-inch guns. This will also allow her to be a very successful convoy harasser, so any enemy is going to be in trouble if this thing decides to show up. She has minimum beam as well as a lower draft to make for a cheaper ship. This will prevent her from being a very stable firing platform, especially with less beam, but it also makes for her a smaller target. The ship is pretty fast. She has no anti-torpedo protection. That is potentially a problem. But she makes up for that by having a Sonar 2 array, and she is pretty damn good at turning. So I'm going to be relying upon the sonar to spot the torpedoes and then just turn the ship out of the way. Armor belt, mostly there on the fore belt, because it doesn't really have a secondary armament on the stern, or any armament on the stern, that is. And with the 9-inch fore belt and 11-inch main belt, the ship should be kept relatively safe if bow in. The Lorden 3 is a pure convoy raider. Her speed at 40 knots and range of 17,404 kilometers allow her to very quickly raid a convoy and disengage if she finds herself outgunned. It is very much in line with the thinking that the, well, let's say about the battlecruiser doctrine. Run away from what you can outshoot, and if you can outshoot it, then you can probably close the distance quickly, blow it up, and then still get away if you need to. Her main armament is not that big. It's 6 11-inch guns and a couple of 3-inch guns. She has 12 3-inch guns, but her main secondary armament is 32 2-inchers, which are spread all over this secondary tower and primary tower. With these battlecruisers, or battlecruiser, because I'm only going to have one, I intend to raid convoys by getting close, allowing the 2-inch guns to do work, and then getting out. And if I should get out, then I have 8 torpedo tubes on the stern, so that as I'm moving away, I can still give the enemy a little bit of a present in the form of a couple of 21-inch torpedoes, which are electric propulsion, so they're not that easy to spot. These are designed to cripple the enemy, not necessarily sink them outright, and thereby slow them down further because of flooding or potential engine damage. So with this ship, convoy raiding is the primary task, and she's most likely going to be operating mostly alone. And then the last battlecruiser, the Elfwyn class. It's a concept. It's not necessarily going to be a very good battlecruiser, but she could be a perfect sniper. She has 10% more beam than normal. Her speed is not that good for a battlecruiser. It's a mere 33 knots. Her main armament is 6 18-inch guns. These are backed up by 16 4-inch guns and 12 2-inch guns to deal with smaller threats should they get closer. But the ship is very much designed around her 18-inch guns, which sadly are only Mark I. But in this campaign, I intend to tech up and try to get better tier for these 18-inch guns and retrofit the ship to make those guns more effective. She is fairly well protected. Barbette 2, anti-torp, none. This is because the ship is supposed to be operating about 20 to 15 kilometers away from the target and constantly on the move. She does have a sonar array in the form of a hydrophone station type 3, so she'll get a little bit more warning about torpedoes and ideally get out of the way. Auto-loading turrets, but hydraulic turrets. So the turrets are not going to turn that fast. Okay, that's the battlecruisers. Then we have the heavy cruiser type. I have 12 of these. This is the Hooded Horse class heavy cruiser. They have an interesting type of armament in the form of triple 9s. So that's 3 9-inch turrets and 1 5er on the stern to deal with threats that sneak up behind the cruiser. Her further secondary armament is 24 3-inch guns, and she has a couple of torpedo tubes. These are fast torpedoes designed to quickly close the distance and cripple the target, but only at shorter range, because these 21-inch torpedoes don't have that much range. This ship is very much designed to take out enemy heavy cruisers, light cruisers, and destroyers, and with those torpedoes, she can even make a bit of a dent in the enemy battleship if she so needs to. Because she is designed to go after heavy cruisers, lights, and destroyers, she's operating at 35 knots, which makes her a bit more expensive than I would like at 53 million, but our budget can currently support these cruisers. Anti-torp 2, Hydro 3, not anti-torp, Hydro 3, and Generation 1 radar with coincidence range finding for quickly acquiring a target and blowing it up. Armor, 9 inches main belt, 4 inches fore and aft, 4.1 inches on the deck, and 2.2 on the superstructure. This is mostly to defend the superstructure against the smaller guns found on smaller warships. Almost there. We have the light cruiser, the King Swag 2 class. This is a mixed armament. This cruiser class is designed to take on heavy cruisers, but mostly light cruisers and destroyers. So let's say her size and smaller. She displaces 8,212 tons at 35 knots. She has a ludicrous range of 30,755 kilometers, so she can operate anywhere in the world. With her main armament, she has 6 7-inch guns, which are the ones on the deck, with a secondary, a secondary primary armament of 6 5-inch guns, which are overlooking the 7s. The thinking here is that I can chase down destroyers and light cruisers, blow holes in the light cruisers, and rely upon the faster firing 5-inch guns to deal more damage against the destroyers. The ship has more draft to allow her to house another 24 3-inch guns, which are found here, 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 and here. This light cruiser does not come with torpedoes. As far as pricing goes, they are 28 million, so they're about half the price of a heavy cruiser. And with these things, I intend to go hunting. They have sonar too. They have no radar, because that would make the ship a bit more expensive. Electrical turrets rotate quickly. Auto turrets or auto gun reload increases the rate of fire. And with this combination, especially with base fuse high HE, or base fuse HE and capitalistic 2, I can deal with most threats, but not anything the size of a heavy cruiser or bigger. And finally, the Brem class destroyer. These are very small destroyers at 1,500 tons. You can get destroyers up to 2,500, I think. They're pretty large. But I decided to go with very small destroyers. They cost 6.5 million per, take 6 months to build, and their main armament consists of 15 3-inch guns. The thinking behind these destroyers is take down enemy destroyers as well as convoys. I want to have these guys operate in duos or triples and make sure that they go after enemy convoys, just project power, project strength of the French Navy, and if they come up against a bigger target, they have 8 torpedo tubes of the 21-inch variety. These two are electrical torpedoes to make sure that they're stealthy, because the AI is ridiculously good at dodging torpedoes the moment that they spot them. One thing I overlooked is Krupp 1 armor. I'm just noticing this now, which is a bit late, because I already have all the destroyers built. The destroyers have 1.5 inches of armor all round. Their guns can pen 1.5 inches or, no, about 3 inches or more of armor, depending on whether they use the semi-armor piercing or high-capacity HE shells. And they fire light shells to make these things fire as quickly as possible. Alright, so the fleet's been designed, the fleet has been built already. When it comes to numbers, I have to start the campaign. I have 4 battleships, 3 battlecruisers, 12 heavies, 11 lights, and 32 destroyers, giving me a total of 62 ships. Now, again, if you want to get your name into the game, you can support me on Patreon, and you might find your name here very quickly. Keep in mind that if you become a patron today, it might take me a few days to get your name in the game, as I tend to record these videos in batches. Right. It's the 1.05 beta, but with a new update to it. So the victory points work a little different, and the victory points are combined. You can see that I have my own victory points against Germany, and my own victory points against Austria-Hungary on the right. But on the left, we have victory points combined, as we are operating with the British and the Italians against the Germans and the Austro-Hungarians. I'm not exactly sure what David Beatty is doing in Austria-Hungary, but I guess it's a bit random. Also, the Brits and the Italians have the same admiral. Okay, fine. Now, let's go get our battleships and battlecruisers on the way. I want to start operating around here. Helgoland, Wilhelmshaven, Emden, just to block in the German fleet. They currently seem to have all of their ships at home. The British don't. The British already have their ships deployed. What do we have here? We got the Sonntag. The Elfwyn is the sniper. So we're going to start sending the Elfwyn, the Sonntag, 2 heavy cruisers, and 4 destroyers that way. Next, from Le Havre, if I can still select it there. We're going to have a couple of these destroyers just operate here. 2 of them should be fine. What else can we send out? Let's have just a single light cruiser over there, the King Swag 2. We're going to have another light cruiser operate here off the shore of the Netherlands. And the rest of the fleet. Yeah, I can make this a little strike group. The Accord Driver with 15-inch guns, the BeerDrinker, the Enigma Han, the Miller, and the Wolf Dean Styles. We're going to have these guys operate to the southwest of Plymouth. I also have ships on the further west coast of France, but I'm not exactly sure where to send them yet. Maybe for now just here. But I do want to have at least some ships defending my convoys. So let's say I want to have a couple of destroyers here, like the Mike and the Weinman. Couple of destroyers there, the KG and the Rifta. We're going to send out the Stone, the Hooded Horse, the Isaac Chung, the Spaceschotti, and 2 destroyers. You guys are going to go all the way over there. Like that. I still have a battle cruiser in the port of Brest in the form of the Th3. That's the one with the 11-inch guns. That's the Convoy Raider. She's going to be operating alone in the Baltic. So the Th3 is going to head over there. I don't want to deploy all my ships just yet, because I still need to potentially have some to either reinforce, or I want to see how the Germans and the Austro-Hungarians deploy their forces. That leaves the Gosrith with her escorts. I'm going to deploy the entirety of that fleet over here at the entrance to the Adriatic. This should block any kind of offensive from the Austro-Hungarian fleet. Over here I have a couple of light cruisers and destroyers. I'm going to start spreading out a couple of light cruisers. The Andrew Stanec is going to go over there. The Fuentes is going to go over there. We're going to have the Braugh over there. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Martinez, Eastern Mediterranean. And we're just going to send out destroyers in 2s and potentially 3s. Well, let's keep 1 destroyer at home. There. All right. That's the deployment of the fleet. Let's get going. Oh, I still have Saint Florent and Bonifacio, but I'm just not sure if I have ships there. Let's check. One of the other things I forgot to do is set my finances. This campaign, I want to focus heavily on tech. I also, of course, want to get all these sliders up to max, but I want to focus heavily on tech, and normally I don't do that. But I find that with this campaign, I can probably get more out of my guns. Small guns is going to give me Mark V 3-inchers. I have quite a few ships relying on 3-inchers, so I'm going to prioritize that. I'm going to prioritize big guns, and I'm going to prioritize better rangefinders, which will give me Radar Rangefinder 2. That's something a lot of my ships can benefit from. Now, a couple of battles apparently have already occurred, interestingly. And you can see that the Austro-Hungarian and Germans have gotten 9604 versus 6931 for my faction. So we're a little bit behind. Convoy over here. We found a big convoy. It's 19 transports from the Germans. The Sonntag, the NorCalRoach, and 2 destroyers are operating there against the battleship Zaringen, heavy cruiser Steer, and light cruiser Medusa. Let's get to battle. This is going to be an interesting opportunity to take down a big German convoy early in the war. Let's have a look. How are we positioned? I want the destroyers flanking. So you guys are going to screen. The NorCalRoach. I want you to follow the battleship for now. Just follow the battleship. And the battleship, this is the Sonntag. This is the one with the forward-facing 16-inch guns. 8-inch guns on the stern, 6ers on the sides, 4s and 3s on various different positions spread out throughout the ship. The enemy's to the east, so that's where we're going to go. I can do 30 knots with the battleship, the heavy cruiser can do 35, and the destroyers can do 33. So we should be perfectly fine here. Let's go and find the enemy. The destroyers are going to take up positions port and starboard of my battleship. At least that's what they should be doing. And if I can... found the battleship. 18 kilometers out. Okay, this is when the Sonntag is going to slow down to half speed. So I first need to hammer this thing while bow in. I cannot have it pass to the side of this ship. This is the German battleship. 12 14-inch guns, double 7s, 36 4-inch guns, a bunch of 3-inch guns and 2-inch guns. No torpedoes. That's good. I think the 14-inch guns are going to struggle a lot with dealing damage to the Sonntag. Partial pen. Okay. It's potentially the 9-incher that was opening up. Boom! 16-inch right through the secondary, dealing some hefty damage to this German battleship already. You can see smoke screens coming up here. I'm getting radar responses, or radar returns there. So the rest... Oh, and there. So the rest of the convoy is definitely further up ahead. I first need to take out this battleship, which is seemingly going to make that pretty easy. If you go broadside, and I have 16-inch guns, then you have a problem. Sonntag has spotted something else. Hello there. What we got here then? That's 6 11-inch guns. Torpedo launchers. And... honestly, not sure if I'm looking at a light cruiser or a heavy, but I think... no, actually, it's a battle cruiser. It's just a fairly empty battle cruiser. Torpedo tubes there and on the quarterdeck. So don't let this thing turn broadside, or it's going to launch a lot of torpedoes at me. I believe our primary target, however, should be the battleship. That's what we're going to go after. That's what we're going to go after. Destroyers. Still trying to move into position. You really do not want to be turning broadside. In fact, they're turning away. Okay, we're going to increase speed back to full. Boosting my accuracy. And making sure I can punch some holes in this ship. I'm operating at, let's say, 15-kilometer range. A little bit more than that. And at 15-kilometer range, I can pen 31 inches of armor. But not if it's extremely angled like this. Interestingly, they have a light cruiser. Yeah, there's a light cruiser operating very close to their battle cruiser. The battle cruiser is turning away. It's like the light cruiser is smoking to prevent any sudden damage. She's armed with 4 7-inch guns. That's it. And a whole bunch of 3s. Torpedo launchers there, there, and there. Definitely a torpedo hazard, this guy. You're operating 15 clicks, you're operating 14 clicks, but you're in smoke. That's not very close to the target, actually. I feel our primary priority should be to sink the enemy battleship. That's going to give us by far the biggest advantage in this war. And if I can eliminate that thing early, then my battleships can operate a lot more safely here. As well as my smaller ships, because I don't have to worry about them being hunted down. Destroy the torpedo launcher. That's very nice. The NorCalRoach was able to do some damage against that cruiser. Light cruiser, in fact. How fast are these things, I wonder? Faster. They're starting to get away. Whoa, 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 what the fuck? Shit, I got hit by torpedoes. I didn't catch those. I did detect them, and you guys probably did too, but I didn't see it because I was too busy talking over the battleship. The Sonntag has taken 2 damaged engines, flooding, and a damaged rudder. These were no small torpedoes either. Because this thing has a torpedo belt, but it didn't protect it at all. The NorCalRoach is also heavily damaged. And the destroyers are potentially in trouble. This is not a great first battle. Shit, there's more coming. Get out of the way. I should have had these guys, especially my escorts, on torpedo avoidance. We're going to have to turn between those torps. Between, Danny. Yeah. Oh, I'm completely messing up here. Sorry, guys. Good lord. They're spamming so many torps. They're sneaky as well, because I don't see them very quickly. Oof. Turn, turn, turn. Oh, damn it. That's a lot of torps. Not all is lost, because the battleship is still alive. Look at that! I spot them at 500 meter range. I should have had the destroyer scout out ahead. As a picket ship. Not shielding the Sonntag from the side. This is why I generally don't use formations. Start hitting the closest ship, because I think the battleship's not really an option right now. Now, thanks to bulkheads, we still have the ships. They're not dead. I can still fix them. But my chances of eliminating the convoy are not as good. Oh, hold on. It's a heavy cruiser? It's a big heavy cruiser. Eliminated one torpedo launcher on her stern. Excellent. Can I pen this? Fairly well. But ricochet chance is high. We're just going to stick to HE for now. Sonntag's flooding is finished. NorCalRoach's flooding is not finished, and she has 4 compartments which are heavily damaged. First blow definitely to the Germans. Fight's not done. There, Battleship Zaringen. 50,000 tons. 220 million per. My ship, 139. Why are you so expensive? Turbo-electric drive. Okay. They have a very expensive engine on this ship. Reinforced bulkheads 2, anti-flood 3, citadel 4. Okay. Reduced ammo. Heavy shells, firing Cordite 3 propellant and TNT 2 bursting charge. Auto-loaders, but hydraulic turrets. They do have a coincidence rangefinder and Generation 1 radar. Okay. Considering how heavy that battleship is, or how pricey, I'm going to take it down all the more now. And I think that they don't have that much opportunity to damage me. Yeah, 3%. They're going to be relying a lot on their torpedoes. The torpedoes on the steer are 22 inches. Makes sense. Danny's just going to have to kind of follow along. She can only do 18 knots. She might prove useful later in the battle. But for now, not very. We lost the battleship? Wow. Did that happen? It's not a small target. Come on, give me some of that 16-inch high explosive on the steer. Blocked. There's the battleship again. That's your main target. There's one of the transports. NorCal, can you hit that from that range? Yeah, you sure can. Go after the transports. And it's the NorCal which is actually spotting all these. Interesting. Let's start smoking up the Angler. Our torpedoes are in range. They have 12.7 kilometer range, so I can very quickly eliminate most of these. Yeah, let's just dump a torpedo salvo there. Good lord, look at these sheep. You know what? Maybe I don't need the torpedoes. Considering what this guy can do with its guns and the NorCalRoach can do with the HE. As long as the Zaringen doesn't get involved, because she only has 0.2% chance to hit anyway. 20 clicks out. Switch fire to the steer. And pick your own ammo type. We are not out of this fight yet. NorCal, go broadside. Get all 9-inch guns to work. Angler, close the distance. We're hitting various different targets just by their sheer vicinity to each other. Steer has taken some high damage. That was a 16-inch high explosive hit for 174. One of the transports is down. Switch fire to this, because it's nice clumped up target. There you go. The angler is under fire from the transports, it seems. Come on, we gotta get the NorCal in range here. Because those secondaries, 3-inchers, are gonna be fun. There goes another. We need to sink 100% of enemy transports. That's the objective. Karl de Grosse. Steer is still trying to run away. Ooh, that was bad. That was 2,500 damage. And another 3,300. Now, these 9-inch guns on the NorCalRoach are no joke. Their high explosive does a lot of damage, especially against unarmored targets. So it's very easy for me to get a couple of these transports murdered in almost no time at all. And same with the angler. Sadly, it seems that the battleship is not interested in protecting the convoy, and thus is going to be pretty difficult to eliminate. Boom! 2 more transports eliminated. The Germans are not going to be happy about this. I think the commanding officer of this group is going to be pretty much chewed up by the Admiralty for letting such a large convoy take a big hit. Finally, we got another good hit on the Steer. She is flooding. It was 16-inch overpen, interestingly. 2 more transports running away. We're going to finish off the guy over here, the Moltke. The Magdeburg. What are you firing at? The heavy cruiser. Don't do that. Focus on ships which are close to you. Secondaries on the Mecklenburg. Moltke is down. Are you another transport? You are, aren't you? Angler, fortunately still operating at maximum speed, can get there pretty quick. Extensive fire. Bayern is going to be flooding very quickly. Still got the Falke over there. Nice work. Next is the Kolberg. Yep, it's one of the last transports over there. Now, considering I got the job done, I'm probably going to disengage with the rest of the fleet. Because I got what I came for, which was the transports. The battleship was very definitely a nice secondary target, but my chances of actually getting it are fairly slim. Oh shit, the Steer has just torpedoed the battleship again. Sonntag's gonna need probably months for repairs. Don't do that. Today, on Suddenly Singing, more torpedoes are approaching the angler. Now, for those of you new to the videos, I tend to miss torpedoes, as in I tend to not see the warning because I'm too busy working over the battle, doing the commentary, trying to keep the video not running from too long, having a look at the rest of my fleet, trying to do cinematics at the same time. It's a little busy, which means that sometimes I don't see an attack coming that you might see on the list here, because you and your brain are far less busy than me and my brain. So that's just a bit of background on why I tend to get hit by torpedoes. How many transports have we eliminated? 98%. Sorry, 89%. Schwalbe is taking quite a bit of fire, and there's still something more ahead. Keep the Sonntag slightly turning. There is at least one torp. Schwalbe is down. We're not done yet, are we? 95, there's one runner. That must be the guy there. You're the runner. NorCal, switch your fire to that heavy cruiser. That's the priority. That needs to go down. Especially as the Germans are doing a piss poor job of defending their convoy. Let's proceed. They're already flooding, slowing down. Rudder's out. The Angler, surprisingly, for a destroyer, has done 27,000 damage. She chewed up transport after transport after transport. And these little 3-inchers are not to be underestimated. The ship can fire both HE shells and AP shells. AP if I encounter destroyers which have more armor. HE if I just have unarmored transports like such. And with a loadout that is mostly HE, I can do a lot of damage. Especially against these transports. There you go. Mission accomplished. Now we can disengage. Sonntag, we're leaving. We got what we came for. We're leaving. Retreat. Where's the other destroyer? The Danny T? Retreat. Steer is still under fire. The Sonntag has taken far more damage than she's dished out, sadly. I expect that the Sonntag is going to be out for repairs, and while she's out for repairs, her crew will receive training, which will make this ship far more deadly, because it means she's going to get more accuracy. In the meanwhile, we're also going to research the Radar Rangefinder 2, which I will refit the Sonntag with, and thereby getting an even more powerful, more accurate battleship. That's the plan. For now, it seems the Germans are just maintaining their speed away from my ships, and that's fine for me. So I have taken 4,500 damage, I've done 87,000, which is almost exclusively to the transports, and I'm fine with just leaving the battle. Here we go. Victory points achieved, 521. Victory points for the Germans, 118. So I came out ahead. I would just wonder how long the Sonntag is going to take to repair. And now that we know that the Germans have these sneaky torps, I can adjust my strategy as required. Sonntag, how bad is it? 5 months. It's not terrible. We just won't have a battleship here for a couple of months. But we do have the Elfwyn, which I thought was going to be operating together with the other ships. Sadly, it's not. This is my sniping battlecruiser, so we'll just have to make sure that these get a bit more protection. Anyway, that'll be it for today. Next time around, more fighting. Probably more shipbuilding as well, because I have a plus 50 in budget per month. That's a lot to work with. And as I tech up, I'll be refitting ships quite often. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know what your thoughts are. And if you want to have your ship in the game as well, join me on the Patreon program. You're going to get your ship in the game or your name in the game, as well as immediately supporting myself on my channel and what I do. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you soon for more.